Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fanfiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive, that's all the stars, rating on your favourite listening platform. It helps SPN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Kasey.
I'm Sandra, and there's a ton of other ways to be a part of our supernatural road trip, from joining our Discord to fueling up the Impala with a Ko-fi donation or membership. Check out this episode description or idlinginttheimpala.com. So we are doing another tags and tropes today, and
we troping them tags, we tagging them tropes.
We're doing one where I distinctly remember asking Kasey very early on in our podcast journey. I was like, Kasey, I don't know what this means. What does this mean?
You're babies then.
Once I was told, because Kasey was like, hold on, let me look that up, because I think you had an idea, but you like wanted to make sure.
I knew what it was. I just didn't know what the reference was. So it was the reference I had to look up, but yeah.
So we're doing dead dove, do not eat, a tag, which is a warning for potentially problematic fics that can be interpreted, as always, as tags are, in vastly different ways. So if you're not familiar with what we do on a tags and trope episode, we tackle a fanfic category, genre, or subject matter. We're going to break down some stats about the tag. We're going to share overall thoughts, and we're going to discuss a few fics that are prime examples of the topic. At the end of all that, we'll let you know whether it's a give or a hard pass for us. We try to follow the your kink is not my kink, and that's okay, kink tomato motto. But we may interject our personal squicks about any given tag or trope, but it's in no way meant to yuck anybody's yum. So there's a document that I'm going to include that takes a lot of information directly from the fanlore page about this tag. I did not know what the reference was, as Kasey did not, I think, initially, and then had looked it up.
No, I didn't. I knew what it meant.
Where's the reference come from?
So it actually comes from a meme from an episode of Arrested Development called Top Banana. In this episode, Michael Bluth opens a paper bag labeled "Dead Dove, Do Not Eat." And upon discovering that there is a dead dove inside the bag, says deadpan, "I don't know what I expected." So I think I'm familiar with that meme of him just holding the bag and being like, "I don't know what I expected." I knew "Dead Dove, Do Not Eat" was like, like a dark warning. I just didn't know the reference. But apparently, so this was told to us in our Discord by Samandine76 that initially this was sort of kind of meant like the stuff I've tagged for happens. This is exactly what you expect it to be. Proceed, not necessarily proceed with caution, but like it's kind of like I understand what she meant and I understand what this means. I'll read from the fanlore page. So it says the tag was initially proposed in 2015 as a way to indicate a fan work depicts tropes that might be viewed as problematic without necessarily any subversion or condemnation of those tropes. But confusion over the intended meaning of the tag has led to varied interpretations and usage over the years since it was coined. One common usage is to indicate simply that this fic is clearly labeled and warned for. So if you open it, you know what you're getting. And that's what Sal was saying, all of the not necessarily problematic, but like dark, say, I have tagged for all the dark shit. Don't open this fic and then be all shocked Pikachu when there's dark shit in it. It is exactly what it says on the tin.
The label's accurate. Don't expect something different. Yeah, I think for me, it's more the dead dove do not eat as a content warning. I think I've just kind of assumed that just means it's really dark. Could people kind of use that and just be like, then not tag for all the things? Just be like, this is dark, this is violent.
Yeah, I think that's I think it's kind of become its own sort of thing now, where you maybe hit the highlights, like if there's something like rape or non-con or major character death or like torture, violence, injury, stuff like that, you maybe hit the highlights and then you go dead dove do not eat. And that's just like a kind of like a catch-all. I suppose in a similar way to author chose not to use archive warnings on AO3.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to say, proceed with caution. Here be shit without actually. There are tiny moths all over my house. Without actually kind of explaining it, and it's sort of it's become its own content warning, which is not. I don't necessarily. That's not how I use it, and I don't necessarily appreciate people using it in that way because it's not meant. That's not my interpretation of the tag. My interpretation is what you see is what you get. But I suppose when I do see it, I'm like, oh, this fic will probably be dark then. But I still expect you to tag.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. Is just like if we were to look at a couple different like examples that we have, if a lot of people might just not tag everything and just do dead dove do not eat with just a couple of things in there, even though there might be a lot of things wrapped up in it that maybe people might want to get warned for in addition to that. I also kind of I think when I think of it, I almost think of it like like with AO3, I mean you can go all the way up to explicit. I almost feel like there needs to be like because this is me back in the day when like NC-17 became a thing, right? Like instead of like XXX or whatever, it was like NC-17 was this big thing that a lot of movies were getting rated. Like no way do you want anybody under 17. And it didn't necessarily mean necessarily like sex, even though here, we've all got our panties in a bunch about anything sexual. So a lot of stuff would get NC-17 if it was just, maybe you saw somebody's dick or something. Like, like that was like, oh my God, like, that kind of thing. But I think it, to me, almost dead dove is like, we're pushing it even further than maybe what you might consider with explicit. But yeah, I would think all those other warnings, right? Like those content warnings, those big 4 or 5 that AO3 has, like rape, non-con, underage, graphic depictions of violence. What's the other one I'm missing? I'm missing another
Major character death.
Major character death. Yeah, I'm wondering if there are people out there, and I guess listeners, let us know, like, when you see that, like, would somebody kind of use maybe chose not to? Because, again, I know some people do this because they don't want to say spoil what happens in the story plot-wise. I think I've seen people do that, where they'd say, they choose not to use it, but maybe they might use dead dove. Do not eat.
Yeah, it's one of those strange ones where I think everybody in fandom kind of knows what it means when you see it, but it's quite difficult to quantify because, I mean, a thing that I keep coming back to when I'm looking at this lore page is that it's a what it says on the tin kind of thing, but it's like, you're gonna get what you get, and it's there's not gonna be any.
Well, there's no redemption. I think is what I think too. A lot of those
or
things,
redeemed or subverted in any way. Like for rape non-con, for example, I'm writing a rape non-con scene, and that's gonna be what it is. I'm not. I'm not gonna reveal at the end that it was consensual non-consent or a scene or something. I'm not gonna have the rapist be killed in some form of redemption. It's just gonna be exactly what it is.
Because like these tags are accurate is like one person's meanings in common circulation, potentially upsetting content. Yeah, it doesn't explicitly condemn. Yeah, what it says on the tin is there again, without further clarification about what those concepts and tropes might be a synonym for darkfic. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't. Do you see a big difference between darkfic and dead dove do not eat? Like where would you see the line there?
See, that's really difficult because even though it's not necessarily meant, like I remember Sal saying in the Discord, you could write like a really fluffy, like cute, soft, fluffy, cuddly fic and tag for all of the cute, soft, fluffy things. And you could tag it dead dove do not eat, and it would be correct because you're saying it's what you get on the tin. I've promised you cute, fluff, soft, comfort, and you're getting it. I think the thing that kind of tangles it all up is the fact that it's dead dove.
Yeah,
like the death of an animal like that is not a pleasant. It's not a pleasant image. And I mean, the do not eat part is like, I always associate that with like,
well, the fact that there's somebody
do not
considering
engage.
there's a dead dove here, you might think about eating it. Don't.
It's dead. Well, I think I haven't seen the episode, but I assume it's in the, you know, like you label your lunch in the work fridge or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I would imagine it's like labeling a container that says dead
radioactive
dove
material, like you don't want to open this, and it's like
yeah,
yes,
and then like just as an added warning, do not eat. But the way I interpret it is like dead dove is a, you know, I don't want to say horrifying image, but it's not a nice image. You know, a dead animal is not a nice image. So it's like, here be things that are not nice, potentially don't engage. Like that's how I view the do not eat part about it. Like, you know.
So maybe then
you
in
don't
the
have to
situation that Sal's using as an example, like if it's all fluffy and all everything, and then you've got dead dove, do not eat. Like maybe that might be I'm just thinking like in terms of like, say, a writer who maybe normally writes very dark stuff or like whatever, it might be doing something totally different. Like if you've got a reader coming in expecting one thing and they put all of these, here are all these fluffy things I'm doing, dead dove, do not eat. Like, don't be surprised. This is what's happening in this fic, even though maybe I normally don't write things a certain way. You can be guaranteed this is accurate to the tags. So I see that.
Yeah. I just wouldn't.
My brain probably wouldn't go working that way. You know what I mean? But trying to figure out how somebody would use it. Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would associate, like, I assume if you tag for it, I assume it's in there. So my default is I don't read dead dove as does what it says on the tin. I read it as like here are all the things. No, be really fucking clear.
It's doing all the things that I'm saying, and it's going to be dark instead of do not eat.
That's how I interpret it, as like a dark warning. You know, like I can see here an indication that the fan work contains heavy angst. You know, a non-specific standalone tag indicating that the concepts and tropes in the work might be unpleasant or upsetting without further clarification. A synonym for darkfic.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's like somebody might just round about, like there's so much stuff in here. It's just dead dove, do not eat. Like, you know, like I'm hitting so many concepts. I don't even know if I could find a tag maybe for some of the things, you know, that maybe they're referencing, and they're kind of like, well, I just know this is going to hit all sorts of, you know, possible buttons or something for people. So if they really don't want to go that way, I'm just going to tag it this way right off the bat.
It's an interesting one.
Do you usually, here we go. Do you usually read this stuff?
I don't seek it out. I would never filter a search with dead dove, do not eat.
Okay.
But I'm not put off by it. I sort of like outside of when I read, which is not that often anymore. Outside of fan fiction, when I read original fiction, I've always trended towards. I like my books to have fucking in them, but if I'm not reading fucking books, I own a lot of those. I've always trended to like horror. And I do specifically say horror in like a. Like, I know we talked about this. I prefer James Herbert, the British horror author, over Stephen King, but like that kind of horror, but sort of like more coming up now, or maybe more coming into the mainstream now, I guess. Like extreme horror, splatterpunk, stuff like that. Nothing I would ever recommend to Sandra. Nothing. And I have what I consider a pretty high tolerance for like dark themes. Like I don't tend to struggle to get through books, so I'm always looking for the next thing. Like I'm always looking for something that's going to make me go, oh fuck. And I have found it once, but that was because it was gross, not because it was horrifying. It was just gross. So a dead dove tag wouldn't put me off necessarily, but equally I wouldn't search it out.
When I think most recently we were talking to somebody, so you said You tend to kind of go through the summaries though too. So would you necessarily
Yeah.
would you read the summary then go look at the tags?
I don't look at tags.
So you don't look at tags at all. Okay.
I do sometimes.
Okay.
But especially if it's like a big wall of tags, my brain gets good. My eyes just glaze over.
Mhm.
But I've been burned a lot of times by not looking at tags, encountering something in a fic, scrolling back up and being like, shit, it was right there.
Mhm.
It was right there.
Mhm.
So like, am I going to read like something involving violence or torture physically? Yeah, I'm not going to have a problem with that. Am I going to have a problem with, like mental manipulation, mental torture? Like, you're going to have to fix that at the end of it. Otherwise, I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to read Sam or Dean being broken to bits mentally and then you just leave them like that. Nobody look at junkies, please. I'm getting back to it. Nobody look at it. So yeah, that is really the only way I can describe it. I don't look for it, but it's not a pass for me. I like dark stuff. I like I'm into serial killers and I'm into extreme horror, and I'm just always very curious at the limits you can push a human to. Yeah. What do you fall on this, Sandra?
Well, I mean, I don't search it out. I'll say that probably the way I'm looking at stuff, if I find something that I think is interesting, or if I kind of go by like, I don't know, a pairing or an author I like to read, I think I maybe go to the major warnings first. And then if there's...
I'm likely to filter those out.
Yeah,
the major warnings. I don't want to read Carried to Death.
Yeah, but I feel like once I filter a lot of the things out just by, the next step, it would probably not have Dead Dove in it typically. Like I usually have to be wrecked something with all of the it's just a joke now. People are like, Sandra, you don't want to read this. Sandra, you don't want to read this.
We need a Sandra shield.
And I feel like that it's like, I think I'm more willing to, I would be more willing to read something with a major warnings tag based off of the author. And even if it was Dead Dove, Do Not Eat, or if it was wrecked by someone that knows me and knows what I tend to do or to what I tend to read or write, might be like, yeah, but I think you'll really like what the author's trying to do with this, or what, like those kinds of things. Like I'll make exceptions to certain things that I think, but this is not my go-to. It's not to say anything about, what people are trying to explore or what they're interested in with characters and characterization. And I mean, I read a few of the recs in our rec list that we'll share, and we didn't have a lot because I think, unfortunately, with a lot of what Discord different places are doing now, there's a lot of things that you couldn't rec anyway without us possibly, you know what I mean? Like, which is like, we have to be careful with what you can rec us anyway. Now it didn't always used to be the case in terms of what we could share. So there were certain things that I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily be reading them, but again, I have read some stuff with certain tags before, and it's been okay. It's because of the story behind it. I also kind of wonder, I mean, I don't think this is probably everybody's reasoning, but also like, like lots of shows, like they push the boundaries for shock value kind of a thing too. And sometimes I wonder, again, I don't think this means every writer that uses this is doing that. But I also like, are they just trying, like, is somebody just trying to up the ante, or like, see how far they can go? And so that's why it's Dead Dove, Do Not Eat as well. But I haven't really read, I mean, I haven't read enough of this to be able to distinguish if that's what's happening across the board for a lot of people, because I don't think that's the case in the stuff I've read that's been tagged that. Like, I don't think it's shock for shock's sake. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I don't think that.
I think in original fiction, and like I said, I'm forever on a hunt for a book that will shock me to the point that I'm unable to continue reading it, and it can't just be gross. Like, if it's just gross for the sake of being gross, that's different.
Yeah.
And I did plow through that book, and it wasn't fucking worth it. DM me if you want to know what book it is. I'm not putting it on the fucking internet. It was nasty. So like stuff like that. A lot of the stuff I've read has been very much for the shock value. But when it comes to fan fiction, it, in my experience, and like I've used this tag, and certainly what I was trying to do with it is explore something that isn't talked about. Like, rape happens, and the aftermath of rape is something that people deal with. But nobody talks about it. You know, it's, oh, you should to see a therapist, get therapy, but don't talk about it in public. Don't inflict that on anybody else. Or like miscarriages, for example. You know, it's never, we will come together as a community to support you through this. It's, no, well, you don't tell people before 12 weeks because sometimes it doesn't take. You know, and like what I've seen in fan fiction is people taking these topics that are very much not talked about in real life and very taboo, and saying something with them. You know, even if you don't have to be saying anything, you know, revolutionary, even just spending time in that uncomfortable place and being like, sit with it and see how it feels. You know, and like I've used fan fiction to kind of, you know, poke at my trauma and things like that, and I'm sure other authors do the same, and it's, you can kind of just hand a slightly more palatable version of that to people and saying, hey, just see how this makes you feel, just sit with it, you know?
I mean, I think that that's the case with like what I've read, because I know, like, we always talk about how the canon gives people a lot of things to play with and explore more of, and there's no way a show on the CW would be able to go in the ways that these writers are exploring. You know what I mean? Like, you'd have to get an NC-17. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you can't do that on you can't do that with the original material. And I think that that's what's really great about the stories that because I mean, I think we've even done stuff like, we've done like torture porn and stuff like that, and I don't think, like, I think maybe like Dead Dove could cover that, but I don't think that they're different, right? Like they have different meanings, all like, but a lot of things can fall under the Dead Dove umbrella, which is what I found when I was like, again, and we'll talk a little bit more about the ones that were wrecked and some of the stuff that we've got. But yeah, I think that's the ability to just kind of like get into a character's head, and not explaining why, really, like not giving a why this is happening. There's like this is this, a lot of these feel like some there's build up to, but some there's scenes that are just like, if you know what's happened in canon with these characters, then you can extrude that this is what might be happening in someone's head, or this is what they're doing, but not necessarily why. It leaves it very vague, I think, in some situations too. Some it's very internal headspace, but like a couple that we've talked about, or we're going to talk about, I think don't give you maybe that solution. And not that the solution is expected. And I don't think this means what Dead Dove says about, like, you know, we're not trying to make excuses. Not that there's excuses, just some stories I think will explain the why this is happening, but not necessarily, but this is bad. You know, like this is just naturally what's occurring in this right now. Because of X, Y, and Z. But there's no, you know, we're not categorizing it any other way except maybe how the characters are living through that moment, you know, and how they're dealing with it. And some it's very like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Others it's like, got to do the thing. So it's all these, there's no, it's not going through a filter, I guess, of the writer. Maybe. No,
I can see where you're at with that. And I think a lot of it is like we talked about in the beginning, bad things happen, and you know, an author using that tag might be like, I'm not gonna give you a resolution. I'm not gonna justify this or contextualize it, or sometimes bad shit happens and there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is, and I think it's, again, it's giving voice to those things that in society we're told that we mustn't talk about, and we mustn't, we mustn't just like, you just pretend it doesn't exist and don't talk about it and now see a therapist, and like,
it's that way of processing trauma that doesn't process the trauma necessarily for the characters that you're exploring.
Sometimes it's just, you can just hand off something to a fictional character and go, hold this, and they can and they will, and you don't have to fix it, but you've sort of gone through it, if you will. You've gone over it, and maybe you've found some peace in yourself, or you've, just the act of putting someone through what you've been through is, and like, also on the other page, like, I've read quite a few fics regarding Dean's time in hell. Sometimes like Dean / Alistair, and sometimes just like, what Dean did in hell. And that's not necessarily for the purpose of working through stuff,
right?
But like, if people didn't want to read or didn't want to access gross stuff, like, horror as a genre in film wouldn't exist. Like slasher movies wouldn't exist. Sometimes you just want to read something and be like, oh, that's nasty, and that's it. Like, maybe I want to read about Dean chopping up demons, or souls in hell, or something like that. If there's no market for it, it wouldn't exist in visual media.
Yeah.
So why can't we? And I just always think you can show in film, but I think you can invoke better in word.
Well, I also almost think, and I mean, like, I do this because I mean, like, I don't know, like, I almost feel like in your brain, you can almost, even if you read something, like, you can still, unless I should say, maybe unless it's like written really well, where you can't help but, visually, like, feel like you're in that scene with, the characters or whatever. I think there's a way that you can almost self-regulate how much you allow your brain.
There's a buffer you can allow. Like, I've read one thing that really sort of stands out to me, and like I said, I go and I read the extreme horror, and I read the splatterpunk and stuff like that. And like, if you want Rex, hit me up. I got him.
What is splatterpunk? What does that mean?
It's very violent.
Okay.
Violent and
are
bloody.
We thinking like a Clockwork Orange kind of a vibe? No. Okay.
Much worse than that.
Okay. But like, that's just worse. Kind of? Okay. Yeah. All right, gotcha. Okay.
I suppose, like, are you familiar with the Terrifier movies with Art the Clown?
I've seen pictures of it, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe that would be considered splatterpunk.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's probably just like it's probably classified as like a slasher movie in film genre.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it, but from what I've, like, my husband has watched stuff when I've been in the room and screenshots and stuff like that. Oh, big stretch. I've completely forgotten what the fuck I was going to. Yeah, no. What I was going to say is, and I can read this shit, and it doesn't really have any effect on me. Like, gross stuff does. Like, I am not here for bodily fluids. I'm not here for bodily fluids, and I'm not here for bodily waste. But like, blood and organs don't bother me. But like, I don't want to hear about bodily waste.
Yeah.
Which is it's a weird line to draw.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, especially the usage of it. I mean, I like took some info from fan lore, but like, when it first got introduced back in 2015, I guess it got the approval stamp, it got used. And 2016, there were like 274 works. By July of 2025, there were 122,385 works that were tagged Dead Dove Do Not Eat, or some version of it, because Dead Dove is the canonical tag. There's a wall of freeform tags with the same meaning, and there's it's a lot. But there's
I can't remember what fic it was on, but I definitely saw it when I was looking through my bookmarks for this, and it was "The Dove Ain't Dead, but It's on the Way," which I don't think it probably doesn't come under a canonical tag, but I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's there's a lot to break down with this one. Yeah. But so I did some stats from AO3 that I pulled, and again, it'll be on the document. So as of, and I did it is May 13th when I started to go through this stuff. There were 17
That is
million.
a month to the day.
Yeah, there were 17,530,000 fics on the AO3 site.
Wow.
At that point. Number of fics with the dead dove do not eat across all fandoms was 160,900 to almost 161,000. So again, just around 1%. Not bad in terms of being used. Supernatural, there were about 1,490 of all of those fics were SPN.
1% of 1%.
Yeah.
1% of the total dead dove fics on the site were Supernatural.
Definitely more with just Supernatural and Supernatural RPF. So I didn't break down the things for Supernatural RPF. There were 43 that were tagged to that.
I kind of want to go look now.
Yeah, but the rest of them were and I didn't put, you know what I'll do? I'll make sure I have the link too on the Supernatural and Supernatural RPF, or at least the RPF one, because I didn't have it listed. Yeah. But I just put out ratings, warnings, categories, characters involved, relationships, and additional tags for the ones that were just under Supernatural. So, I mean, again, how do you get 10 general audience? Maybe those are the ones that are all we're giving you all the fluff. Dead dove do not eat.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm curious about that. General audiences for ratings.
I suppose that could be people going, well, nobody fucks in it, so I don't need to tag it explicit. That could be the mindset there.
I guess, yeah. Warnings. A lot of graphic depictions of violence.
A lot of rape / non-con underage. Yeah.
Categories.
No archive warnings apply was the last one, so it hit all the big four more than no archive warnings apply. This is fine.
Yeah. Again, it does make you want to it makes me curious about going back and just looking and seeing. So what is this story about? That kind of thing. It does. It does perk my interest a little bit. Wait, what are we doing here? Categories, males at the top. There are a handful of just general characters. Dean, Sam, Cass. John.
It's Dean and Sam pretty close, and then a pretty a 400 odd jump down to Cass. To the 300 down to John. Another 100 to Lucifer, Bobby, Crowley.
Mary, so it's in there, yeah.
It's Sam and Dean at the top, you know.
Yeah, relationship. I mean, it's Wincest, and then it's Destiel. Maybe not even 100 difference there in terms of relationships. And then there's just the Dean Winchester and Sam Winchester tag coming in third.
Dean / John, Lucifer / Sam, Castiel and Dean 45. So it's pretty much, Wincest and Destiel kind of claim the top spots there, which makes sense. Our boys are a little bit messy, but we like them like that.
Yeah, and then there's a ton of additional tags that just kind of cover.
It's interesting to me that primarily they're about sex. So after Dead Dove, the next highest additional tag is anal sex. I mean, it's a fair jump. We're talking 1,400 Dead Dove and then 261 for anal sex. Rape, non-con, incest, rape, dubious consent, sibling incest. So it's interesting to me that they slant more sexual as opposed to, it seems to be that kind of tilt on it.
Yeah.
As opposed to a little bit more maybe violence or torture or something like that.
So fics that we wanted to talk about, Kasey, because you have read more of these than I have.
So
And I
I
want to make
went.
sure we get to yours.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just went through my bookmarks, and this isn't tagged Dead Dove, but it bloody should be. So, and these are all in the document. So it's a fic called Sunder by That's a Kit Kat. Have you read this one, Sandra, or was this one of the ones that I was like, no?
I don't think I've read this one. I don't think I've read
Okay,
this one.
don't.
Okay.
No. I wasn't sure if you'd grabbed mine. I mean, you can. It's not like it's DubCon, I suppose.
Okay.
It's a TLDR. Dean walks in on Sam self-harming.
Okay.
And he's like, fucking hell, what you doing? And Sam's like, yeah, I'm not hiding this anymore. Like, I want you. And Dean's like, if you have me, will you stop this? And Sam's like, yeah, maybe. And it's prolonged. It's a rape scene. It's DubCon insofar as Dean consents to it. But it is very much consent under duress. So it's a rape scene. And it's sort of Sam being like, so like when you talk about like Wincest and especially like teen chesters, you can kind of go one of the very popular sort of roads to travel is one or both of the boys thinking that they're sick or they're disgusting and it's incest and it's wrong, and you're just like navigating that. And then other times like one of the others you can go down is they're like, yeah, it's fucked up, we don't care, let's bone. So this very much kind of falls into Sam being like, I've wanted to, like he's only 17, 16, 17, and I've wanted you for so long, and I'm gonna have you, and if this is my only chance, I'm not gonna, because Dean's like, oh, he's a child, this will take like 30 seconds and then I can shower and it'll be fine. And Sam's like, did you think that was, I've been hyping this up in my head for forever. And there's like it's stated that Dean has prostituted himself in the past. And Sam's like very stuck on John fucking Dean. And Dean's like, he is our dad, and that is gross. And Sam's like, he wants to. Sick recognizes sick. And it's
okay.
It's messy. It is messy. And again, there's no kind of resolution or anything. The kind of like,
I mean, does it kind of end where they've done it and you just don't know?
Well, the kind of like Dean is like, if fucking me stops you, like when I say self-harming, I mean like cutting with a knife. And it's kind of implied that Sam has an eating disorder and things like that as well. And Dean's like, if you fuck me, will you stop all of this? Like, I will give you this. You can have me as long as you stop doing all this other fucked up shit. And it's very sacrificial on Dean's part. I actually can't remember how it ends.
It says, if Dad was smarter, he would have gotten me away from you a long time ago. Sam, please just mine now. We're not going back from this, Dean. I can't.
Yeah.
And Dean thinks, I hope it helps. I hope it fixes you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a line in here that that just absolutely, I'll find it so I can read it properly. It just absolutely it just lives rent free in my head. Not stopping, not going to deal with this anymore. I'm sick. I'm so sick. Dean. Just got its hooks in my brain.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting too. The tags are there's like the fact that the author chose not to use archive warnings, and then just by reading the tags, I mean, I wouldn't have necessarily even thought that I wouldn't have known what the age was, right? It says underage kissing, but that, like you said, could mean anything. It could mean like maybe a thought or like a flashback or something.
What that refers to is Sam tells Dean that he used to kiss him in his sleep.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And Sam is underage in this.
Okay.
Like I said, I think he's 16, 17. So it can be like, I started when I was 14. I'd put my tongue in your mouth.
Extremely dubious consent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's It's all in there, but it's very, yeah, I don't know. It just kind of, I have a little soft spot in my heart for like irredeemably dark Sam. It was like, I have been through some shit and I'm unapologetic for it. So,
well, again,
like I
I
said,
think what we talk about the show, it's like it's what's going on inside. You can't really like. There's only so much you can really like marinate in, with that, and like go to that other. Well, what if it goes this way? Excuse this way. Well, it's kind of interesting too. Like in this case, like it's not shutting up. Like in anything, like if anything, Dean's like, this is gonna take care of it. And it doesn't, it just kind of like for Sam, it's like, well, now that this has happened, we're not going back, like that kind of thing.
It's very like martyr Dean, sacrificial Dean, he's willing to give all of himself. And like, it's very clear through this fic, Dean is not remotely interested in Sam romantically, sexually. He wants none of this. He's like, he thinks it's disgusting that Sam is into him in this way. He's horrified by the implication that John would want him that way. He's had sex with men for money. That's where he's at with this. But it's if you've got a stomach for dark fic, again, this one's not technically tagged Dead Dove, but it should be, and I love it. So,
okay.
Am I doing the next one now?
Yes.
Yeah. This is mine. This is mine. So I also looked through my own work because I was pretty sure I tagged a couple of mine Dead Dove. And it was the Junkies. It was the Junkies ones. I feel like, well, no. Hang on, let me just check because I had tagged. When I searched mine, there was a couple of het, and then it was like all Junkies.
Now, did you do it right? Did you tag it Dead Dove right away, or did you add it later?
No, it was always going to be tagged Dead Dove.
Okay.
No, all of like pretty much all of Junkies is tagged Dead Dove. All the early ones of Junkies are tagged Dead Dove for sure. Yep. So this is the last Junkies that is tagged Dead Dove. So this is part 5 of 7, I think. So more than half of Junkies is Dead Dove, and then I have two het ones that are Sam Reader that are also tagged Dead Dove. But we'll do Junkies first. So yeah, pretty much all of Junkies where explicit sex happens is tagged Dead Dove because it is non-consensual. Or it's consent under duress, which is non-consensual. But I tagged this one specifically because Sandra was like, oh, which is the one that has the double non-con? And I was like, oh, it's Hate Junkie. And then when we came to record this, Sandra was like, where is it? Because I started it and I couldn't find it. I was like, it's in chapter 3. It's near the end. I'd want to specify it's like a 4-chapter fic. So this one is the double non-con scene is at this point in the story, Sam is detoxing from demon blood, and Dean has gone out to... Actually, if you're in our Discord, this is immediately after Sandra read from this fic in Smut Closet last month. And she read this chapter. She read the opening of this chapter because I was really proud of it.
As you should
and
be.
At, like, where she stopped... This is kind of like the immediate follow-up to that. So Sam is detoxing from demon blood, and Dean has, broken into a pharmacy to get like sedatives and things like that, in the hope that if he sedates Sam will be able to detox through the blood without dying. Don't question the law on that. We're on shaky ground. It's my fic. And he comes back, and he comes in Sam's room to find Sam sort of like naked on all fours, entreating him to Sam's like, you can fuck me, like, please give me blood, like, you can have me, do whatever you want, like, I'll make it good for you, and Dean with the best of intentions is just trying to like sort of like get Sam back like upright and sat normally and hopefully wearing clothes. But at the time, Dean's mind is kind of fractured. So when we start, we are Night of Hell Dean. So there's no mark of Cain because I didn't want to deal with that. It's just Dean is a knight of hell. So he's not possessed by a demon, he is a demon. And through some very shaky lore and very shaky plot points that I really need y'all not to look too closely at. Through Sam's, like, his love for Sam and Sam's love for him and Sam's sort of continued acceptance of him, even though he's a horrible demon, he's kind of fractured and he's no longer a demon, he's more possessed by his demon, if that makes sense.
So his blood is not really sustaining Sam
his blood,
right?
his blood is not sustaining Sam, which is why they've come to the point of detox. But also what happens is when he touches Sam to, just like sit him up and stuff, the demon like sort of takes over the driving seat, if you will. And the demon, accepts what Sam is offering, shall we say, and lets Sam perform oral sex on Dean's body, but it's without Dean's consent as well. And I'm not actually really proud of this bit because you kind of like sort of like in Dean's head, like maybe how I imagine possession might feel. So when we look at the show, we've talked about possessed people being like, I was in there, I could see everything, I was screaming, I couldn't stop anything, so we're like sort of seeing the demon allowing Sam to perform oral sex on Dean's body, so like through Dean's eyes, like shimmery, and Dean's like sort of like pacing around his own mind, desperately trying to find a way to break out. So kind of like took inspiration from Nihilism, where Michael had kind of
Dean has said that about Michael Dean. Like he said like I was underwater. Like he's like that's how it was. And there's been quite a few fics I've read that have sort of referenced it like that, and I'd kind of imagined that a demon truly possessing a person that wanted to keep them quiet would conjure up something to amuse them with, like Gadriel kind of amusing Sam, if you will, or like Michael putting Dean in the bar and keeping him quiet that way. But do you think an angel would do that more than to me, I feel like a demon would want you to see it, kind of like the way Abaddon had talked about.
Yeah, demons, I think there's we've seen demons kind of take over and then shrink back a little bit. So I don't know. I would just
I think it's I like it. I just thinking about the fact that those were angels, I almost feel like they're trying to make up for something, they know they're not supposed to be doing, where I feel like a demon would be like, no, I'm gonna let you know. Watch. Yeah. Everything's going on.
But then you sort of when we see on the show, we've seen demons kind of hand over the reins and people are very confused about where they are and why they're there and what's happening. So I suppose if it benefits a demon to keep a person quiet, they might do.
If but they put too much of a fuss,
my sort of thought process was that Dean's the demon possessing Dean, which is also the demon that was Dean. It's confusing. Don't look too close into it. As a story writer, I am not. Just doesn't bother to put anything. It's like, no, fuck you. Just stand there, watch. And Dean's just like desperately trying to take back control, and as the demon sort of gets lost in the pleasure of the act, its grip on Dean's mind loosens and he's sort of able to like bust through and take back control of his body. Unfortunately, the moment he's able to do that is the moment of orgasm. So he kind of like yanks himself away from Sam and there's jizz everywhere. I'm horrible, but it's it's completely non-consensual on Dean's part. He's a passenger in his own body, and of course it's non-consensual from Sam's perspective in the way that sex under duress and rape by coercion and rape, sexual favors for drugs and alcohol and things like that is it's all non-consent. And Sandra was like, I really like what you've done here. I don't like any of the fic, but I like this bit. It's clever.
Well, when you had written, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, we've done like 2 episodes on this. You can always go back and find, and I might link them to this one. But your initial thought was it was going to be just a dead dove, do not eat, like a one shot. There was no, but I mean, as you've come, I think, to work on this fic, your thought process was you did need to have some sort of redemption towards the end, right? Like, and I'm not talking about this, everything that's you've sort of like given so far. I think like the last part, I think, is where it's turns, right? Or like this,
Yeah.
and so there's that need to not fix it. We tell you to fix it, but like not that you have to fix it, but that you're seeing more of an ending that you think is possible.
I know how the story ends. I just don't know how I get them where they are now.
Well, I think you've done a lot to get them closer to that point. But again, I think if a true dead dove do not eat would be a lot of the first few parts, I think, of your series are definitely that. You know, there's no explanation. There's no really, like, it's because of this. All these things are happening because, I mean, you explore those things, but it's not this is what you're getting. Like, this is what you're getting in these.
Yeah,
there's
it's always
this is on the tin. Yeah.
Yeah. It was it was just supposed to be porn, guys. It was just supposed to be porn. And it was just supposed to be, hey, Demon Dean, Sam was addicted to demon blood. Let's play with that. But I let Dean have a voice in the original fic, that was my fucking mistake. If I hadn't have put that in, I could have been like, no, I never thought about that and moved on. But I did. So here we are. But what started out as just this almost smashing dolls together, I guess, turned into this like introspection of my own feelings on like consent and what it means to be truly consenting to something, and how far can you twist and manipulate that before it becomes unconsenting, and yeah, it very much morphed. And then once I'd sort of realized that, and I'd saddled Sam with all of these really heavy things about like how do you reconcile being a rape victim when you were the penetrating partner? It's like it's heavy to sit with. But once I'd handed this to Sam, and I had my friends going, no, fix the babies. I was like, well, let's see if we can find a way to bring them back together, because like obviously in real life I can't undo the things that have been done to me, and I can't, and I don't want to. I have no inclination to reconcile with my rapist and find a way to be at peace with them. I'm like, you stay all the fucking way over there, bro. Like, don't ever knock on my door again. But I do want to explore what would need to happen to be able to get to that place, because at the crux of it, they do love each other, and it's not. Both brothers want the other brother romantically, sexually, but they would never have done anything about it. We're talking like season 10, Sam and Dean here. But then this demon has come in and kind of just like obliterated all of those lines, and now they're like, well, and Sam says it in a different installment. Dean took, but it was nothing Sam wouldn't have given if he'd asked.
It's a rom-com without any of the rom or the com. It's just that's what it is. It's like it's putting them in a situation that's making them have to look at themselves, I think, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, this has happened now. Now how do we deal with it? And again, if it was dead dove do not eat as it was in the beginning, there would be no need, I think, to do that with these characters, right? Like it just, but you've like, I think as you explored it, yeah.
If I'd have just done, I think I could have just, if I hadn't let Dean have his voice at the end of Blood Junkie, I could have done Control, Shame, and Blood as a trilogy of Sam's descent into addiction, and left it there. And they would have all been dead dove, and you would have got exactly what you said on the tin, and it would have been irredeemable and uncondemned. And then, I got all feelings about it, and my friends were like, no, the babies.
So then the last one, this one's really
Doctor doesn't like this one.
Heavy. Well, because I know it's a lot for you. So like that's the thing too. And again, I know that you pick at the scabs for reasons, but Yeah, I just know it's a lot. This is called A Tale of Two Minds, and it's Sam Winchester reader. There's gender identity, gender issues, gender dysphoria, a lot of their self-harm. Do you want to talk about this?
We can do. So this was written in 22. Which can't remember where I was in my gender identity journey. I might have still been questioning some stuff, or I might have been out as agender at the time. It was before I'd kind of settled on like being trans mask. But I was just like very, very insane. Very insane. And this is written to a Slipknot song called Kill Pop. And the song is actually about the music industry, but it lends itself quite well to like a not exactly a dysfunctional relationship, but not a healthy one. Like the singer is he loves his partner, but she's not doing great. And again, it's about the music industry, so it's a love for this thing that is very unhealthy, you know, and like fame can be unhealthy, and it can cause a lot of problems, and you know, so it's and it's a song fic in that it's every line of the song has a bit of story to go with it, and it goes through the whole song. And it's so when you're in reader's mind, it's first person, and when you're in Sam's mind, it's also first person. I thought it wasn't for some reason. So it's first person, and I was kind of worried that it would be confusing, but I don't think it is. I think it makes a little bit more sense. But it's kind of like a reader who is you know, in like a in a relationship with BDSM dynamics with Sam, who is very masochistic to Sam's sadist, and the way that they play is RAC, so that's risk aware consensual kink. So they do things, you know, we're talking about sort of like impact play that leads to blood, and you know, like quite extreme forms of play, because reader is like desperately trying to get out of their head, and all of the gender identity issues that they're going along with. And you know, this must have been after I'd come out as agender, because I remember writing it and being like, I had found peace stepping outside of that gender binary, but then that still wasn't right. So it was still like, there is peace because I'm not confining myself to this gender identity that is very wrong, but where I am standing now is also not right. And it was, when I'm looking back on it now, I was kind of thinking it was dealing with like the disconnect between what I consider to be my mental gender and my physical gender. So, and like I know we talked about it before, but other people might not have listened. So like mentally, I consider myself like agender, like 404, gender not found, what is a man, what is a woman. But physically, I consider myself to be transmasculine. I'm not a trans man because I'm not a man. I'm not in anything. I'm an it. But the female body that I have is not the correct one. It's very confusing to live with. I fucking hate it. Welcome to my world. And this was kind of exploring that. And you know, this reader kind of going on their adventure, going through this journey, and kind of realizing that despite stepping out of the binary of being female, being a woman, it still wasn't quite right, and kind of coming to the end of it and being like, maybe I am a trans man. Maybe that's where I should be. Maybe that's where I'll find peace. And then from Sam's point of view, this wasn't written with soulless Sam in mind. It was written as Sam classic, but you don't have to squint very hard to see him, because he's quite, it's not that he's selfish, but he voices those dark thoughts that we all have that maybe we don't necessarily want to give voice to. So he's kind of like, I don't want this person that I love to be so desperately unhappy, but also because they are so desperately unhappy, the sex is great.
Mm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of like verbalizes that, and he kind of also goes through a bit of a process of being like, you know, am I being selfish? Should I let them go? And like he kind of comes to a place where he's like, I want them happy more than I want, you know, good sex, as it were. And they you know, like there's never a divide between Sam and the reader. They're just, the reader is sort of unable to articulate and voice to Sam what they need.
Well, there seems the acceptance towards the end of it, and understanding they can have their cake and eat it too. Almost a thing.
Yeah.
Like once the acceptance is there, you know, that their dynamic doesn't necessarily won't change for this, like for what they feel safe doing with each other in this space, right? Like it's like for them, it's the acceptance of them, but that doesn't change their dynamic. And I think Sam gets that.
Yeah,
I think and you also did the misgendering and the pronouns that you were doing. You said as you were writing this.
Yeah, I don't like, my reader is always kind of me a little bit, because that's how you write a reader insert. Well, that's how I write a reader insert. But I was very much, I was writing this as me, and I was like, this is fiction, and I can make whatever happens happen. When I was writing it, every time I had written her or she during the writing of it, I didn't like delete it and put they, them, their, whatever. I just struck it through. So all of my own sort of misgendering mistakes were in there. And you sort of see as you read through the fic, they get less and less and less. And the reader becomes more comfortable with where they are and the gender neutral pronouns. And then when you get to the end, the pronouns have shifted to he, him. And it's sort of like a journey.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reason it's dead dove is it's self-harm, angst, blood, flogging, blood, so much self-harm, you guys. So much. And although it is, you know, sort of sadist Sam, masochist reader in a very consenting BDSM relationship, it's quite, for what I write, it's extreme, you know. So I was just, yeah, I had tagged this dead dove because it's dark to my mind. That is literally that is the tags. It's dead dove, do not eat, dark.
Like I said, I
like this one.
Well, but I've told you why. You know, I mean, it's like again, it's just I think you have a courage in your writing that's so very naked and exposed, you know, that I mean, like just like, you know, that I mean, I'm in awe of it. But it just like knowing that, you know, these things put you in this headspace as a friend, I'm just like, you know, I feel sad and want to fix it, you know, like for you, those kinds of things. So this one probably, like, as much as I'm like, you need to fix junkies, you know, I'm just glad that when you do these things, like you said, you do feel, normally you do feel like you've released something, you know, like I think, and you see that in the notes, I think for this one in particular too, that like, you know, you were in a better headspace after. And I think that's important that you were able to do that for you on your journey. But yeah, it's tough. it's tough to read as somebody that cares about you. But then I was also reading, you know, there's a lot of comments where people are, you know, you're able to articulate it in a way that they've been feeling those things. And so it's this bond of you're not alone kind of thing. Yeah. I think that, you know,
that's always so, that's always so important to me. And it's like, I've sort of dealt with various professionals from, you know, various different professions who have been like, you're so open and honest about your mental health. And I'm like, well, it doesn't serve either of us for me to lie. Like if I tell you up front, these are the things that we're going to have to deal with, then you can proceed with that knowledge, and I'm not spending my time going, oh, bloody hell, don't say that.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like, am I the only person wrestling with gender identity? Fuck no.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm fucking not. And again,
Mhm.
it's one of those things, and certainly the political climate at time of recording is very, it's quite unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't even say quite, it's very unsafe
Yeah.
to be openly questioning things at the moment. But the thing is, you need space, and you need community, and you need people to talk these things through, because
Mhm.
you know, if we could all work it out on our own, we wouldn't be fucking pack animals, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not. We're a society, we're pack animals. You need community.
Mm-hmm.
And at a time when it's so very unsafe, and I mean 2022, not current administration, but equally not great.
Mm-hmm.
It's never really been great, has it?
Mm-hmm.
But certainly, like right now, somebody who's questioning that kind of identity, those kind of issues, questioning their identity, comes across this and is like, holy shit, someone voiced all of the conflicting feelings that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe it helps.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
it helps. I just don't, and I understand why people do, but the thing is, I'm too autistic to be able to handle my mental health in a way that hides it. Like, I'm like, you have two choices. I can pretend I don't have mental health problems, but you are going to get the most autistic version of me, and that's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can be upfront, and you're still going to get an autistic version of me because I am autistic. But like, I just feel like everyone's going to be on a much better page if you're like, it's this and this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's working out really well for me in real life, guys. That's why I'm so terminally unemployed. It's going great. But I've learned lessons over the past few years about what I can and cannot commit to when it comes to employment. And masking my ass off is not it.
Well, that
You
has
know?
that has more to say with the culture of jobs and people and like that has more to say. The culture is all fucked up and isn't understanding of differences and needs of their employees. So that's a much bigger issue that just unfortunately I think the expectation is inhuman. Like there's just no way, for that to work for a lot of people really anymore. I get that.
Dem's me dead doves, and that's why they're dead.
Yeah.
And eat at your own risk.
I'm just gonna kind of mention a couple that I pulled from our rec list. We didn't get a lot of recs, because again, I think this one in particular, I think maybe because of certain things we just can't rec or can't link to.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
It's difficult when we have rules in our server and then we're like, hey, send us your dead doves.
We'll share them
within these rules.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
And even in the form, it's like it's stated, like there's certain things we can't, like we can't share it because we could get dinged or whatever. And it's one of those things. But the three that I picked, one was wrecked by Crowley's Mistress. Another was Jackie Jenkins. Would you look at this? Another was Runaway Dreamer. They all are sort of canon compliant, or I think fill in those gaps, right? That say you could push for or push through and kind of explore more. The one by Crowley's Mistress, Crowley's Mistress, I think did 3, but I picked The Poison I Need, which is by, I think it's Angel Zen or Art Babe. And it's a Nick Sam. So it's got to be set in season 14, right after the whole Michael Dean stuff happens, and Sam is searching for Dean, and Nick is no longer Lucifer's vessel, but Nick is still at the bunker. And it's basically the way that Crowley's Mistress described it in was masochistic Sam goes to Nick for a session in the bunker. So really it's, I think, how they both have dealt with being Lucifer's vessel and how that affects both of them. And I think where they kind of come together, it's this balance, this weird balance that works in this scene for them. There's a lot of the, there's a lot. There's it's unhealthy relationship, dubious consent, violent sex. A lot of things are going on in this one. But I thought the characterization of Nick, especially at that moment, I felt like was very, it pushes it, right? It pushes it past what you see, but it's totally plausible and you understand the Nick there. And I think a lot of the torture that Sam has gone through, and what that's done to him.
Yeah.
So it's not a very long fic. I mean, I know that Crowley's Mistress is just like Nick, Lucifer, Sam, like all those things are things that they like to explore. And I thought it was good. I thought the writing was really good in this one. Again, like, these are the things where I appreciate these. I just like, these are not I wouldn't be in this space probably for very long. I think because of how it makes me feel about what's going on with the characters, but it's an interesting exploration of it. The other one, God bless Dreamer, Lesser Evils Dyed Red. Because this is definitely not a fix-it. It is, it's right in season 5, episode 1. It's
Sympathy for the Devil, yeah.
In particular, it's the scene where Meg comes in, where you realize Bobby's being possessed, and it just expounds on that one scene, and it's, what would you do to save your brother? And it's, Dean's got to do this thing, which is basically he has to rape Sam. And there's a lot. I think it's all Dean's POV, pretty much. Yeah, I think it's all Dean's POV. Again, it was really good to read. I was just very uncomfortable with what Dean was having to do, right? Like for it. But it's also bad guys made them do it.
Yeah, Dreamer's note on this is, this fic is from Dean's POV and it is incredibly unforgiving of Sam's actions at the end of season 4. Remember how Dean behaved towards Sam at the beginning of 5 and be prepared for that from inside his head. So Dean was like very angry with Sam at the end of 4, and like, there was the whole voicemail that was never addressed. And then like, you rose the fucking devil, bro.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing too, is like, this is all plausible, right? Like, again, if you push it past what's allowed, and how demons are, like, it makes total sense that this could be a scenario that they have to, it's like a fuck or die. Like they have to get out of this one situation. It's like bad guys made them do it. Dreamer did unsympathetic Dean Winchester, unhappy ending, canon compliant. So again, I thought it was really good. I would not normally read. I just wouldn't normally read it. It just wouldn't have come on my radar. But I trust Dreamer, so I trusted that one to read.
Also, you knew what you were getting into.
Oh yeah, because it said "Dead Dove Do Not Eat." I read all the things, so I knew what I was getting into. The Chandra Shield's okay. It's holding. It's fine, y'all. Don't worry about it. I did okay with it. The last one that I really think kind of like stretched my thought about Dead Dove Do Not Eat, again, because there's nothing sexual in this one. It is Romans 3:10-11, but according to the lore, but it's all from Bobby Singer's POV, and they talk about two parallels that they're kind of when Sam dies and what Dean does, and then when Dean dies and what Sam does, and it's all, and you realize Bobby was there for both of those, so getting that POV is just so, there's so much in this, guys. Like, this is definitely like how Dean handles it, how Sam handles it. There's a really good line at the end. When Sam had died, Dean was ready to let the world end. When Dean dies, Sam is ready to end the world. And it's just all my heart for Bobby, seeing them. And then also like the hints of like knowing how close the boys were growing up, and this, this dependency that they had on each other. And then the wondering is there, what's beyond that? Like, and like, especially when Bobby sees how Sam is not handling Dean's death, that one is a real gut wrencher. And I think I've read stuff similar to that, but not in this vein. I think like No Rest by Edge of Clairvoyance has that scene about like, Sam having to bury Dean. But this one just goes over like the days and how long and all of that, and like the body and how Sam sleeps, with Dean and all of those things. And really, really,
can't wait to read it.
Really interesting stuff. And I mean, even like the notes.
Do the notes tell you what the Bible verse is, by the way?
It does in the beginning, I think. As it is written, there is no one righteous, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks God. So, they put a bunch of content warnings even after, everything in the Dead Dove Not Eat, and goes into a little more of like, their notes about the fic. So really, I was
already excited for this, but reading those notes, descriptions of dead bodies, mentions of body decay. Oh, I'm uncomfortably well versed in this.
It's really good. More. I think this one is. Like,
am I going to be mad? Do you think?
Are you going to be mad? I think you would be more mad with Lesser Evils because of Dean's headspace. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. I mean, like, am I going to be mad because the science ain't sciencing?
I don't think there's enough to worry about it being sciencing. Unless you're really unless you're looking at a calendar day by day, like there's not enough of that, I think, description in there. But I don't know, Kasey, you might find something in there that might
I'll keep you all updated. I'll let you know.
I think out of all of them, I think because this one gave me an example of what it could be than what my brain was, like I was like, and I love Bobby, so twist my knife with Bobby, and I'm there because I know how much he loves the boys. So, and there's flashbacks, and like how he's gone, like he's seen them grow up together, and like all these different things that kind of intertwine and stuff. I mean, it's definitely Dead Dove Do Not Eat, but in a way that seems very authentic and them and him and all of that. So I really did like this one. This one was one that kind of makes me think, if I see it, maybe I should read, a little bit more, like, give myself a little bit of grace to distinguish what might be something, I can handle, and be okay with. So yeah, this was I guess this was a surprise for me, in a good way for the tag. So, I mean, I think, because we still have something else to do. So unfortunately, I think we could probably talk for another half hour about this. But overall, I mean, for you, this is
I'm still a little bit of a gib. It's a little bit, yeah. Again, like I would never willingly search it out because you just never know if somebody's going to die.
Yeah,
Like I can't be like, well, I'll just read this sight unseen. But yeah, it's a gib for me because I'm like, meh,
I mean, I don't think I can say this is a hard pass because again, like if I filter certain things out of the major content warning, like major warnings, like, and I saw this and it'd be like, well, what is this about? Like, again, it kind of makes me wonder, like, what are some of these other stories about that are in these other categories? You know what I mean? Or like have a general audience, like what? Like, I want to like, what are we doing? Like, I want to like look back and see like, what is this about? Why is this person, tagging this way and what story are they trying to tell? So, I mean, it's definitely not I don't search this out, but probably if I came across it, I might pause now and maybe let me read it. Let me read the summary. Let me really look at this before I make a definite no. And again, I think it depends on who's writing it, who's wrecking it for me. So,
I think it has to, again, for Rex, it has to be somebody that I trust, and somebody who knows my hard passes, and knows my hard limits.
Yeah, I will say Lesser Evils, Meg is so Meg is just so Meg in this. Meg is just so Meg in it.
We love Meg.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we could go on, but we're going to wrap up because we have another thing to do. So, we want to thank you for listening, and we want to know what your thoughts are on Dead Dove. Is it a give? Is it a hard pass? What are your thoughts on it? You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify, leave a YouTube comment, join our Discord, and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. And you could get to wreck some of these things the next time we do a Tags and Tropes.
Yeah.
Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website. That's idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider supporting us on Ko-fi. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers, and we'd love to have you along for the ride.
Speaking of perks, we've got special shout-outs for some of our Ko-fi members. From our Shotgun Picks and Music tier, we've got Runaway Dreamer, Crowley's Mistress, Sam and Dean 76, Elia, Charlie, and Flannelled Faye. From our Baby Driver tier, we've got Livia. Thanks for picking the tunes in the car and steering us in the right direction. Support like yours keeps our podcast going. Don't forget, you can support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. So from me, you have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, you have mental health charities. And of course, the main causes that we are highlighting, championing, spotlighting are World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. If you want to know more about these causes, why we're supporting them, what they mean to us, check out idlingintheimpala.com. There's a page there called Causes Cause with all the details. So with that, we'll say thank you for joining us in the back seat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.